Hope Logan, The Truth That Breaks a Mother. Hope Logan barely felt her feet hit the marble floor as she stumbled into the Forrester mansion. The storm raging outside the towering windows was nothing compared to the one tearing through her chest. Her breaths came in violent gasps, her heart pounding so hard she was certain it might give out. She clutched the letter Eric had handed her minutes earlier, though it felt like hours, her fingers trembling so badly the paper crinkled beneath her grip. When she looked up and saw him standing in the center of the grand living room, Eric Forrester, pale, haunted, stripped of his usual authority, dread pooled in her stomach. Ridge stood rigid nearby. Brooke's eyes were already wet with fear. Steffi's arms were folded tight, defensive, and Liam, reluctant, uneasy, hovered close, sensing disaster. Eric swallowed hard. "Hope," he said quietly, his voice heavy with history. "There's something you need to know, something that changes everything." The room seemed to tilt. Hope shook her head instinctively, as if denial alone could stop what was coming. Her heart thundered as Eric drew a slow breath, the kind taken by a man who knows the truth will destroy the people he loves. "This secret," Eric said, voice cracking, "has been buried for decades. I believed it was protecting everyone. I was wrong." Hope's knees weakened, and then Eric said the words that shattered her world. "The child you've loved as your own, the child you fought to protect, is not biologically yours." The sound that tore from Hope's throat wasn't a sob, it was a cry of pure devastation. She collapsed to her knees, the letter slipping from her fingers as reality slammed into her with brutal force. Every bedtime story, every laugh, every tear, every whispered promise, all of it now carried an unbearable question. Eric knelt in front of her, his composure finally cracking. "I never meant it for it to go this far," he said, voice trembling. "A decision was made long ago, an adoption, a cover-up, because I believed it would spare pain. I thought love would be enough." Ridge exploded. "This isn't protection, this is deception. You stole her right to the truth." Hope could barely hear them. Her world had narrowed to one unbearable realization. Her motherhood had been built on a lie she never consented to. Ridge dropped to his knees beside her, gripping her hands, trying desperately to anchor her to the present. "You are her mother," he said fiercely. "Nothing changes that." But Hope shook her head, sobbing. "Everything changes. Everything." Steffi flinched, old wounds reopening as the implications hit her, for the family, for the legacy, for the child caught in the middle. Liam knelt beside Hope too, his hand firm around hers. "She needs us," he said quietly. "All of us." Eric continued, voice breaking as he detailed the chain of events, misfiled medical records, buried letters, fear-driven decisions, each word deepening the devastation. The room felt like a tomb. Finally, Hope lifted her tear-streaked face and looked straight at Eric. "Why?" she demanded, her voice shattered but fierce. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" Eric reached for her shoulder, his hand trembling. "I thought you deserved to love without pain, but the past, it always finds its way back." Ridge's anger ignited fully. "We trusted you, and this changes everything." Steffi's voice finally broke through the silence, trembling but resolute. "We can't pretend this didn't happen. We have to face it, together." Hope wiped her tears with shaking hands and slowly forced herself to stand. Her legs felt unsteady, but her voice, when she spoke, carried the strength that had always defined her. "We will survive this," she said quietly, "somehow." She looked around the room, at Ridge, Brooke, Steffi, Liam, and Eric, seeing the same fear and heartbreak reflected back at her. "But nothing," she added, her voice breaking, "will ever be the same again." The words hung in the air like a verdict, and as silence swallowed the room, One truth became undeniable. The Forrester family had crossed a line that could never be undone, and the fallout from Eric Forrester's DNA secret was only just beginning.